I think when you're confronted by such horrific, inhuman, very sadistic behavior, something that comes to mind is, how did we get here, really? And that's where historians will help us, because this is more of a psychological problem than anything else, because you cannot do that if you are normal. First and foremost, you do that with pistols. That's why in the security forces, you don't do that with the AK-47. It's supposed to be a long range. It's not supposed to be a close range. So whatever you're doing. But let me put this. Historically speaking, I think today we'll be at the University of Nairobi, or with the University of Nairobi. We'll be discussing the legacy of the Happy Valley. That decadence, that, like kind of life which was there by that Setra group, where they greeted each other, where, are you married or do you come from Kenya? That kind of culture. And the underlying characteristic of that regime was violence, brute violence. And they visited that violence on our people, the Mau Mau. And for 10 years, they killed, they maimed, they divided this country. You are good for police, you are good for office, and all this kind of thing. Basically naturalizing and normalizing violence. Now, we come after independence, and the same thing is happening under one party. Now, this regime, as it stands now, is the best graduate of the school of violence. I have lived in this country. I've worked for Kenya Human Rights Commission under Mutunga and others. I do know all my scholarship is based on response to violence. I'm the only author in this country on Mungiki. And the reason why I got the data is because you used to go to Kamukunji, another police station, to kind of run there so that the Mungiki do not disappear. At least there is habeas corpus, something like that. And I'm telling you that what we are seeing here is not equal to what we saw. That what we saw was less. This is 3 years into this system. And what I'm seeing is less. It's more than what was there in the 1990s, particularly, because the 1990s was the most notorious. So that said, then, I chaired. I was the head of the Constitution, the intellectual part from the government side. I know there was a committee of experts and others, but those who were thinking for the government that time. And we agreed that we don't need a force, we need a service. And I think Jero has articulated that. That was underlying. And when we were campaigning, we were telling the Kenyans, listen Kenyans, vote for this constitution. Because when you are arrested by the police, before you are arrested by the police officer will come and tell you, naomba ni kushike. And Kenyans would really clap, and because that's what they wanted. They wanted a country where the police respect lives, they respect people, and that it is a surface, it's not a force. Now what we have seen is the return of the force and the end of the service. So we don't have any service anymore. Now, are we winning? No. Now you can see why I'm saying it's more, because the police this time are not just coming with their own violence, but they are hiring violence. All violence is hired for them. Those goons, I know they are Jeshi la Mzee. Jeshi la Mzee never came to the streets armed under Mzee Moi. No, Jeshi la Mzee never came. So, can they win this fight? No, they can't win. Because they didn't win against us and we were few that time. Today, young people under 35 years are 80% of this population. Unless you commit total genocide, you can't be victorious. So there is no alternative to respecting the public, respecting human life. But the question, Abdul Kadir, remains.
Yes.
Who is going to police the police?
Okay.